Staking trees is important, but it is also a big problem. The tie on this tree has come loose, and it's actually a good thing. Unfortunately, the trunk is not as straight as it could be, but if you look very closely in here, there's not a lot of light here, you can see the damage that occurred to the bark on this thin bark tree by this. This is it's a good stake. It's a really good stake, but any kind of stake that stays on a tree too long oftentimes will cause long-term, sometimes irreparable damage that shortens the life of the tree or will lead to a large weakness or decay pocket here. So while staking is a good thing, leaving the stakes on too long or completely forgetting about them is a big mistake. So check your stakes and make sure you don't leave the nursery stake on. A lot of times I'll see a tree that's still got the wooden stake tied to the trunk, and you look at it closely and all along the trunk it's all dug into and the tree has tried to grow around it. And sometimes I'll see a smooth bark tree or actually any tree that has had the nursery stake left on completely damaged by that one mistake. So when should you take the stake off? Well, here's a couple of stakes here that should have been removed a long time ago. And unfortunately, there's a couple of steel stakes in the ground that are probably embedded in the roots. I would try to get those out if possible, but sometimes you end up just cutting them off at the ground and letting the tree absorb a metal stake. But it's clearly a situation where the stakes were put in to try to straighten out this trunk, and clearly it didn't work. When you want to get a trunk of a tree to be straight, you have to do it at the very, very early stages of the planting, the first year. After that, it becomes more and more of a battle, and as soon as the wood on the trunk gets any size whatsoever, it hardens off and it will become whatever shape it tends to lean towards. So ideally, I don't like to see a tree staked for more than a year. The nursery stake comes off immediately at planting, and the stakes that you do put in the ground should not cause any abrasion, and there should be at least two of them with enough movement in between the two of them so that the tree isn't just rigidly held tight to something. Those are my thoughts on staking, and I see more mistakes with staking than I do with positives.